The story begins with a young man named Travis, who finds himself at a place he never imagined he'd be, attending the wedding of his ex-girlfriend, Amy. The event is emotionally taxing for him, a bittersweet reminder of a love that once was. Surrounded by celebration, Travis tries to come to terms with the painful reality that Amy is no longer meant for him, especially since her soon-to-be husband is a successful and well-established businessman with everything seemingly figured out. Meanwhile, Travis is just a struggling musician, working long nights and playing small gigs, hoping to build a name for himself in the competitive world of music. Despite the heartache, Travis does his best to stay composed. He smiles, exchanges pleasantries, and tries to blend into the crowd. But deep down, he's mourning the loss of someone who once held a special place in his heart. Letting go is never easy, but he knows it's the only way forward. He chooses to release the past and accept that Amy has moved on, no matter how much it hurts. By chance, on that very same day, Travis crosses paths with a woman named Ellen, who is also in attendance at Amy's wedding. As the festivities wind down and guests begin to disperse, Travis and Ellen find themselves outside, both waiting for their rides. They strike up a conversation, casual at first, but surprisingly natural. There's something effortless about their exchange, a chemistry neither of them expected. Intrigued by their brief connection, they decide to share a ride home. Before parting ways, Ellen hands Travis her business card, offering a door to future possibilities. When Travis returns to his modest apartment, he's greeted by Monica, his bandmate and longtime friend. Monica is warm, supportive, and familiar, a constant presence in his otherwise turbulent world. It soon becomes clear that she harbors unspoken romantic feelings for him. Although their relationship has always been platonic on the surface, a certain tension has lingered beneath for quite some time. That night, perhaps driven by Travis's vulnerability and the emotional weight of the wedding, they cross a line. In the privacy of their apartment, they share a moment of physical intimacy, a temporary escape for Travis, and perhaps a long-hoped-for connection for Monica. The next day, still processing his feelings, Travis meets up with his friend Jesson. They sit in a local cafe, animatedly discussing plans for their band and brainstorming ideas for a vlog project they hope to launch with a few other friends. The creative energy is a welcome distraction, a brief return to normalcy. After their meeting, Travis heads to the fitness studio where Ellen works. He waits until her shift ends, and they walk home together. Their conversation is light, but charged with a growing sense of emotional closeness. It's obvious that something is beginning to develop between them, something tender and real. Over the next few days, Travis and Ellen continue to see each other. They go for walks, share coffee dates, and linger in conversation. During one of their meetups at a quiet cafe, they sit close, lost in each other's presence. Laughter comes easily. Smiles linger. To anyone watching, they could easily be mistaken for two people in love. After coffee, they decide to continue their time together and head off, not quite sure where they're going. Their feet take them to a hotel, almost instinctively. The emotional walls they've both built begin to collapse. That night, their feelings culminate in a romantic and deeply passionate moment, a union that seems inevitable. The following morning brings a sobering reality. A man walks through the front door of a well-appointed home, exhausted after a long night of work. This man is Henry, Ellen's husband. Wealthy, polished, and almost always consumed by his demanding career, Henry is the epitome of success in society's eyes. But behind the closed doors of his seemingly perfect life, the emotional disconnect between him and Ellen has widened. Though their marriage appears stable, they have no children, and the affection they once shared has grown quiet with time. Weeks later, Travis unexpectedly runs into Ellen and Henry at an art exhibition. The moment is tense and awkward. Both Travis and Ellen struggle to maintain their composure. Henry, however, remains blissfully unaware that the man he is shaking hands with is the very one entangled in a secret relationship with his wife. After this encounter, Ellen makes a conscious effort to sever ties with Travis. She starts avoiding his calls, tries to forget their meetings, and puts up emotional walls. But her efforts don't hold for long. Ellen finds herself drawn back to Travis, again and again. Her marriage to Henry, once full of promise, now feels like a cage. His obsession with work leaves her feeling invisible. With Travis, however, she feels alive. They continue to meet in secret, escaping to places where no one knows them. Their connection deepens, fueled by both affection and desire. In these stolen moments, they behave like a real couple, holding hands, exchanging gentle touches, and finding refuge in each other. One morning, as Ellen is getting dressed, she suddenly recalls an important function her husband is hosting later that day. She rushes out, trying to make it in time. But on the road, tensions between her and Travis reach a boiling point. In a heated argument, Ellen blurts out that their relationship has always been about pleasure and emotional escape, not a lasting future. Her voice trembles as she speaks, betraying the inner conflict she has long tried to ignore. Though she tries to justify their affair as something casual, Ellen can no longer deny the truth. What they're doing is wrong, no matter how right it once felt. In short, Ellen gradually began to realize the weight of her mistakes, especially because her husband was a loyal and devoted man who had never once betrayed her trust. He had stood by her through every chapter of their life together, providing stability and care, even if he had become emotionally distant over time. Yet, on the other hand, her husband wasn't naive. He had long sensed a shift in Ellen's behavior. The signs were subtle at first but grew harder to ignore. She often stayed out late without clear explanations, constantly appeared preoccupied or in a rush, and on some nights, she didn't return home at all. From these growing warning signs, tension began to build in their home. At first, it surfaced through cold silences and unspoken doubts. But eventually, those silences turned into arguments, ones that became more frequent and emotionally charged. Their once calm home now echoed with unresolved conflict and growing suspicion. Ellen, burdened by guilt and overwhelmed by the emotional weight of what she'd done, could no longer continue hiding the truth. One evening, unable to take it any longer, she confessed to her husband that she had been involved with another man, Travis. The confession landed like a thunderclap. The air between them became heavy, brittle. Her husband's world momentarily shattered, and the betrayal he felt was unmistakable. As tears filled her eyes, Ellen tried to explain. She told him that her connection with Travis hadn't been about love in the traditional sense. It had been about filling a void, about finding a momentary escape from the emptiness she had been feeling for so long. Her husband's obsession with work had consumed him. And while she understood the pressures he faced, she felt like she had been left behind, like a ghost in her own marriage, unseen and untouched. Travis had simply given her what she was desperate for: attention, kindness, and a sense of being needed. Not long after that emotional confrontation, Ellen's husband made a bold decision. He took Ellen's phone and called Travis himself. It was a short, direct conversation. They agreed to meet in a quiet public park, neutral ground, away from prying eyes and raw emotions of home. At the meeting, Travis arrived calm but cautious, unsure of what to expect. He faced Ellen's husband, Henry, with a mix of guilt and quiet dignity. He didn't come to argue, only to listen and explain. He admitted the wrong in his actions but also acknowledged that Ellen had been deeply lonely. She had been longing for something more, something human and real, and she found that in him, even if only for a short time. At first, Henry held back his emotions, trying to remain composed. But the betrayal, the humiliation, and the pain were too fresh to contain. His hands trembled, his voice cracked, and then, in a moment of uncontrollable emotion, he lashed out and struck Travis. It wasn't calculated. It was a burst of hurt and rage that had nowhere else to go. After the blow, silence hung in the air. No words were exchanged. Just the heavy presence of consequence. From that day forward, Travis and Ellen cut all contact. They hadn't spoken or seen each other for several long months. During this time, Travis poured himself into his music career. No longer distracted by a complicated affair, he began to find clarity and focus. Monica, his loyal bandmate and constant friend, became his closest support system, encouraging him, grounding him, and helping him rebuild piece by piece. Then, one quiet afternoon, when he least expected it, Ellen showed up at his apartment. She didn't come with grand expectations or hidden intentions. She came for closure. Her face looked tired but peaceful, as if she had finally made peace with herself. She told Travis that her absence had been intentional. She needed space, not only from him, but from everything that had happened. Time alone had allowed her to reflect, to process, to heal. She also revealed that she had learned about the confrontation between her husband and Travis. It had shaken her deeply, but it had also been a wake-up call. In that moment between them, gentle, quiet, and honest, Ellen and Travis both came to the same understanding: they were not meant to be. What they shared had been real, but it had also been fleeting. They had found comfort in each other during moments of vulnerability, but comfort isn't always the same as love that lasts. Ellen smiled faintly through her sadness. She said she was genuinely happy to see Travis thriving again, to see him grounded in his purpose and moving forward with passion. The man before her now wasn't just a talented musician, he was someone stronger, more certain of himself. Before she turned to leave, Ellen paused. She took a deep breath and offered her final words with sincerity. She thanked Travis, not for being perfect, but for being there during one of the most confusing and fragile periods of her life. Despite everything, he had brought her a flicker of happiness, a sense of being seen, even if only briefly. And with that heartfelt goodbye, Ellen walked away, fading slowly from Travis's world. There were no promises of seeing each other again. No last-minute declarations. Just the quiet acknowledgement of a chapter closed. The film ends not with dramatic fireworks, but with stillness, a bittersweet kind of peace. Two souls, once entangled by timing and emotion, now free to continue their lives apart, changed by what they had shared.